Hey guys, this is Will at Third and Long. Today we are going to be breaking down the Week 5 NFL games for the 2023 season. Who will win, who will lose, and what the final scores will be, and what they'll win by. So hit that like button and subscribe. And we will actually be using the ESPN stats here, so also give them a shout out. Starting off on our Thursday night game, we have the Chicago Bears at 0-4 versus the Washington Commanders at 2-2. This game is at 8:15 on Prime Video. So the Bears, last week they had a 28-7 lead going into halftime. Fields throws over 300 yards for the first time as a Bear. Everything looked great. Running game was working, passing game was working, and then they completely gave it up and they lost the game. So a real heartbreaker game there. However, that has to have Bears fans excited because that's the first time that Fields played a complete game and really looked good. So if you are a Bears fan, perhaps that's something of what might be coming going forward. Now, for the Washington Commanders, their offense under Hal has been playing really good. Now, I'm not saying that he's the next Aaron Rodgers, but he has been playing very well the last few weeks. They've been scoring points, but the defense for both the Bears and the Commanders is horrible. These teams are both giving up over 30 points per game. Let that sink in, over 30 points per game. So whoever they play, they basically have to try to have a shootout with them just to win. Now, the Washington Commanders are the favorites here. They're 6.5-point favorites. So I think the Commanders ultimately will win because I think they're going to have a better rush and that they have better skilled positions on offense to win in a shootout type game. So Commanders will win 30-23, and they will also cover the spread. Next game we have Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Again, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the 3-1 Buffalo Bills. So the Bills come in at 5.5-point favorites. This game is early because it's in London. Again, back-to-back weeks. Why are the Jaguars playing back-to-back weeks in London? Like, is this their unofficial home or something? It really just doesn't make any sense. Does that give them an advantage since they're already in England? So there's no travel time there. There's no jet lag. I don't really know, but I think they're probably going to need it if it does give them one. So the Bills had a very bad week one. Since then, they've been averaging over 30 points per game. They've been rolling. Last week, they beat the brakes off the Dolphins, so they've situated themselves at the top of the AFC. So one of the top two teams in the conference. So really good for them. Now the Jags kind of had a really bad start to the year so far. They are 2-2, so that's good. But Trevor Lawrence has looked pretty shaky. Calvin Ridley, though, has been playing very well, so he was a great pickup. But the Bills have a lot of weapons. They have Josh Allen, they have Cook, they have Diggs. This team is loaded. They will beat the Jaguars. I think that they're going to win 31-23, and they will cover that 5.5-point spread. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on Fox. We have the 2-2 Houston Texans at the 2-2 Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons come into this game as 1.5-point favorites. Both teams are 2-2. Now, the Texans have been showing their youth. They've been showing their talent. What I mean by that is they play really good and they still lose the game. But overall, they're much better than anyone thought that they would have been through their first 4 games. So no one thought that they'd be 2-2, so much props to them there. CJ Stroud looks legit. This guy has 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks through his first 4 games. He is the best rookie so far this year, having a really good year, and he looks completely unfazed at the quarterback position. He's never jittery. Feet are always set. So good year for him. That gives Texan fans a lot of props there because you really have a foundational piece there to have a quarterback who could really, this guy could throw for 5,000 yards his rookie season possibly. Nico Collins looks like a great wideout. So the weapons are there. They just have to put everything together. Now the Falcons are going in the completely opposite direction. They have a lot of pieces. They have a lot of weapons. They are loaded with talent. Running back, wide receiver, Pitts at tight end. They have playmakers everywhere. But Ritter, what's up with him? What is he doing? He's a completely waste of space. They will never win with him. So the future is obvious. They need to move off of him. They need to either draft someone or they need to try to pick someone up. But Stroud doesn't turn the ball over and the Falcons cannot score. That's the difference. So the Texans are going to win 24-17 and the Falcons will fail to cover. The next game that we'll be looking at is at 1 p.m. on Fox. We have the Carolina Panthers at 0-4 versus the Detroit Lions at 3-1. Now, the Lions finished the 2022 season as hot as anyone, and they've basically carried that completely perfectly into this year. They are having a very good year, sitting at 3-1, and they are 8.5-point favorites here. Now, good teams beat bad teams. That's the main statement here. Panthers are just that. They are a bad team. They are 0-4. They're really going nowhere this year. They have some young players, so they have a lot to build on, but it's just not going to happen this year. The Lions can beat you multiple ways. They can beat you on offense. They can beat you on defense. They can beat you running the ball. They can beat you passing the ball. Very well-balanced team. They have Goff. They have Montgomery at running back. They have Brown. A lot of weapons. Different ways that they can play anyone on any given Sunday. They also have the best run defense in the NFL, only giving up 60.5 rushing yards per game. So what that means is they're going to get a lot of pressure on Bryce Young here if he plays this Sunday. So that always favors the Lions. Lions will win 31-17, and they will cover. Next game is at 1 p.m. on CBS. We have the Tennessee Titans at 2-2 playing the Colts at 2-2. So Tennessee, as of this point, is a 1-point favorite. So that's a big question because these spreads are kind of going up and down here. The main question is, does Jonathan Taylor play? That's a big question. If he plays, that will definitely help out Richardson to have that running game. But who also are the Titans? I have no faith in Tannehill. He's not a good quarterback. Derrick Henry's about 58 years old. They ran that guy into the ground. They've relied on him too much and never built the offense outside of him. So he has basically had to do everything the whole time that he's been with Tennessee. They did beat the Bengals, but Cincinnati is just basically a ghost of what they were. So this game's kind of 50-50 here because Vrabel always has a good defense, so they're definitely going to make it tough for the Colts. But will the Colts have Taylor? So that's kind of a 50-50. It's a coin flip game. But as of right now, I think Tennessee, with their defense, with the fact that they can run the ball, they're going to win 22-20, and they will cover. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the New York Giants at 1-3 versus the Miami Dolphins at 3-1. Miami comes in at 11-point favorite, so a pretty big spread here. But Dolphins, 1 week they score 70 points. Very next week they get blown up and they give up 48 points. Don't give up faith in the Dolphins. This is one of the best teams in the country still, and the Giants are one of the worst teams in the country, if not the worst at this point. So Daniel Jones right now, he's on pace for 9 touchdowns and 25 picks. He's a complete disaster, but they should have never given him that contract. Barkley's hurt, so what will they be doing? Will he play? Will he not play? No one really knows. The Dolphins have multiple ways that they can beat you. They can throw for 400 yards. They can run for 300 yards. So this team is stacked on both sides of the ball. They have Mossert, they have Arcane, they have Berrios, Waddle, Hill, so many weapons up and down the field. It's really hard to beat them because if you beat them, you have to outscore them. That's the key. And the Giants can't get touchdowns. That's just a fact. So that's the reason why the Dolphins will win. They're going to win 35-17, and they will cover. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on CBS. We have the 2-2 New Orleans Saints at the 1-3 New England Patriots. So both of these games, as of right now, they're pretty brutal to watch, both of these teams right now. So Mac Jones last week, he gets benched at the very end of the game. But who on the bench is better than Mac Jones? So he will be the starter. Derek Carr has definitely struggled this whole year. Why has he struggled? He has weapons. Thomas, Olave, Kamara. Lots of weapons, but all Derek Carr does is check the ball down. Constantly, check down, check down, check down. He is never pushing the ball downfield. So they have a good defense, but their offense is going nowhere. Patriots have a great defense, but their offense is going nowhere. So no matter what happens, this is going to be just a slush fest of the mud. It is going to be a really sloppy game, really brutal to watch. But the Patriots, their D has kept them in the game versus the Eagles and the Dolphins. So pretty good offenses, but their defense was able to hold its own. I think that's the key here, is they can rely on their defense. They can win low-scoring games because that's the way they're built. So I think the Patriots will win 20-17, and they will cover. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on CBS, we have the 3-1 Ravens at the 2-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. So Kenny Pickett got hurt last week. Mitch Trubisky might be the starter this Sunday. We don't really know. Either way, the Steelers offense is a complete joke right now. But they still have a very good defense. The Ravens' pass D, though, is very good. So whoever plays at quarterback, they're going to make it really difficult on them to be able to deliver the ball and to have time passing. The Ravens' offense is pretty good. Yeah, they had a slow start this year, but Lamar Jackson's doing good throwing. He's doing the good running. But TJ Watt and the Steelers' defense, they're going to make it difficult. So they're going to try to bottle up Jackson because he's basically the only rushing threat because they don't have J.K. Dobbins. So they're going to try to keep him in the pocket, force him to throw. But I think the Ravens will be able to hold on because the Steelers, they're just not going to get very many points. So they just have to barely outscore them. Now, the Ravens are a 4-point favorite in this game. I think they will win 23-20. Very close game, and they'll fail to cover. Next game we have at 4:05 on Fox, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at 4-0 versus the LA Rams at 2-2. So the Rams kind of flip-flop. They look really good, and then the next week they look like complete garbage. So can the real Rams please stand up? We don't know who we're going to get this week, but Stafford was hurt last week, so that could also hold them back. Now, the Eagles are undefeated as of this point, but they haven't looked like the same Eagles from last season. But don't underestimate them. They still have the best offensive line in the country, and they have a lot of weapons. Hurts, Swift, Brown. So their offensive line can let them run the ball, can buy them time to pass the ball. So that gives them a lot of different ways to try to strategically beat you, basically. So whatever you are giving them, the line can buy them the time to get there. Now, don't underestimate the Rams offense, and they should be getting Cooper Kupp back this weekend. So that can make a big difference there. But I think it's the fact that there's multiple ways that the Eagles can beat you through the ground or through the air. That should get them the win here. I pick them to win 30-20 and to cover. Next game we have at 4:05 on Fox. We have the 1-3 Cincinnati Bengals at the 1-3 Arizona Cardinals. Cincinnati comes in at 3-point favorites. How? I mean, just the Bengals are a complete mess. Joe Burrow is a complete ghost. The guy's obviously hurt. Why is he playing? Why is he starting? The coach is putting his job before the health of the player here because Joe Burrow looks completely off. He can't move. He's obviously having problems with his leg and foot. So they need to sit him 3 to 4 games, let him come back at 100% and try to go on a run, or just play him and get blown out. So what's the point of playing him? You're getting blown out anyways. They are only averaging 12.3 points per game. Bench the guy. Let him get healthy. Let him come back later. Try to make a second half run. But nonetheless, the Cardinals aren't playing too bad this year, but this is just a game of who's going to suck less. Cardinals, Dobbs is playing pretty good. They have Michael Wilson, so they do have some weapons there. And Joe Burrow is a ghost. Now, if Joe Burrow shows up, they're going to beat the crap out of the Cardinals. But as of right now, we have only seen ghost Joe Burrow. So I am going to guess that's who shows up on Sunday. So even though the Bengals are 4-point favorites, I am picking the Cardinals to win 23-20. So the Bengals fail to cover. Next game we have at 4:25 on CBS. We have the 1-3 New York Jets at the 1-3 Denver Broncos. So remember during the offseason, Sean Payton was trashing Nathaniel Hackett. That hasn't really worked out, has it? But Sean Payton gets the chance to play against offensive coordinator Hackett this weekend. Yeah, he's not the head coach, but we'll see if Sean Payton can back up his trash talk, basically. But so far, and I have always said, Sean Payton is completely overrated. He had Breeze for 20 years, only got the one Super Bowl and won that one Super Bowl. Did nothing else the whole time that he was there. Completely overrated head coach. He's a good coach, but he's overrated. Now for the Jets, Zach Wilson had his best game as a Jet this past weekend, but I'm not counting on that happening every Sunday. But the Broncos defense is a complete dumpster fire. They made Howell, Tua, Fields all look like MVPs. So anyone can score and move the ball on the Broncos. So I think this game will come down to Russell Wilson. Will he be able to win the game when it matters most? I think he will, but it's going to be a coin flip because the Jets have a really good defense and they will make Wilson work for it. But I just don't have faith that Zach Wilson will win the game for the Jets, but it definitely can happen. But I think that the Broncos are going to win this game, and they're going to win it 24-21. So Denver's a 1.5 point favorite here, so I think they will cover that. Next game we have at 4:25 on CBS. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at 3-1 versus the Vikings at 1-3. So will Taylor Swift show up in Minnesota? That's the main question, but why does anyone care? That completely has nothing to do with football. Chiefs are 3-1. Patrick Mahomes. So the offense has been kind of off this year. There's just not something right. They don't have the playmakers at wide receiver, but they're winning. So they're finding a way to win, whether it's running the ball, whether it's passing the ball. That's just good coaching and good quarterback play from Mahomes. But something is off, and that might catch up with them at some point. Vikings have a horrible defense, one of the worst, but their offense can score at will. Kirk Cousins is just throwing for 300 yards every single game. Justin Jefferson, nobody can guard him, so that will always be a problem. Do not count the Vikings out as long as they have Kirk Cousins throwing bombs to Justin Jefferson, because he's always going to be wide open. But the Chiefs do have a top 5 defense. That's what's going to make the difference here. So Chiefs come into this game as 4-point favorites. I think they're going to win 28-24. So they'll cover just barely. Next game we have at 8:20 p.m. on NBC Sunday night. We have the Dallas Cowboys at 3-1 versus San Francisco 49ers at 4-0. To me, this is the best game of the young NFL season so far. So 49ers are the best team in football. They're the best team on both sides of the ball. Offense, defense, and they play great special teams. They're getting great play out of Purdy at quarterback. McCaffrey is the best running back in the country. They have loaded skill position players. Wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback. No matter where you look, this team is loaded. They have a top 2 defense in the NFL. So really, what else could you ask for? But don't lay down on the Cowboys either. They have the number 1 defense in the country. Dak Prescott's not having his best year, but he's not being asked to have a great passing year this year. But the main question to me is, will the Cowboys' passing offense be able to keep up with the 49ers if they get down? If Dak gets put into a position where he must move the ball passing due to time, will he be able to pass and have time to pass on the San Francisco 49ers? That's the big thing, because the 49ers' skill position players are better than the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys have great players, but the 49ers' offense is better. So can Dak step up and match them? That's the big question. But either way, when your defenses here are 1 and 2, any team can win. But San Francisco comes into this game as 4-point favorites. I think they will win the game 27-21, but this will be a great game, and they will cover. The final game we have on Monday night at 8:15 on ABC, we have the Green Bay Packers at 2-2 versus the Raiders at 1-3. So will Jimmy G play? No one knows, because he is banged up. Now, Davante Adams is getting to play his old team, the Packers. Aaron Jones should also be back. That's a pretty big deal for Green Bay. I think the key here, because the Packers don't have a great pass rush, but they have a quick pass rush. So the goal will be to try to bottle up and keep the Raiders in the pocket, basically. I think that's going to be their main goal, is no matter who plays at quarterback, if it is Jimmy G, who will be banged up, he will not be able to scramble. He will not be able to roll the pocket out. He's going to be getting hit a lot and often. And the Packers, when they're playing the Raiders must run the ball with Josh Jacobs, keep the ball out of Jordan Love's hands, keep the ball out of Aaron Jones's hands, try to control the clock. That's the key to me. But no matter who plays for the Raiders, they cannot score at all. And I think that's why the Packers win. Packers come in as 1-point favorites as of right now, and I think they will win, let's say, 20-17. So very low scoring, but they will cover. So that's my breakdown of the Week 5 NFL games. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks.